Hello, everyone. Just want to do a quick microphone check. Just type in the chat box if you can hear me. Why is this weird? Well, I'm glad you all could make it. Um, as I said yesterday in class, this is just so that I can explain the concepts in depth. Um, and I'm recording the session so that I can upload it to the 1.3 assignment in case you want to look over the lecture again. And for those of you who are watching it via recording, um, that still counts as credit. Just make sure you do the whole of the 1.3 assignment for your attendance. So let's get into the assignments. So as I said, for the getting started section, this will just be information that'll help you do well in the class. The first assignment being the meet your instructor. It's more of an activity where you just watch a video, click mark as complete. It's just a video of me uh, sharing a little bit more about myself. And that's pretty much all that is. The next assignment is the Psychology of Play Roadmap. In this assignment, you'll see a Psychology of Play course overview video. You'll see what we will cover in each week. It'll tell you a little bit about the weekly readings. And it'll also tell you a little bit about Safari Books, which there may be some links in the bonus material that may link out to Safari Books. As with the first activity, there will be a button at the end that says Mark as complete. Next is your professionalism. It explains the GPS policy in the Full Sail manual. It'll explain how professionalism is calculated. It will explain how if you miss more than 4 hours, that you will not pass the course, but you are allowed to miss up to 4 hours, but not anything past that. As with the previous two assignments, it's just a mark as complete. Next is troubleshooting and resources. Gives you tutorials through and frequently asked questions through the Full Sail Online Zendesk, also lynda.com. Gives you tips to upload. Gives you information for the Writing Center. If you're having trouble with your discussion post, or you're having writer's block, or you feel like you want to improve your writing, the Writing Center here at Full Sail is a great resource, and it's absolutely free. We have a literary journal here called The Aviator, which accepts art and written pieces. And it talks about the Full Sail policy as well. And then, as with the other two, you mark as complete. Then we have the lecture slides. This is where I'll upload the slides that I did yesterday. All right, then we get into week 1. Every week starts with the community board. The community board is just, let's see if anyone's discussed anything yet. Awesome, yes, you guys are using this already. So the community board is a place for you to just connect in a casual format with your classmates. You can talk about anything you want as long as it's, appropriate to for the school setting. You can talk about video games, you can talk about your artwork, you can talk about what you did on the weekend, you can talk about a new restaurant that you found, a free activity that's going on in the city. You can talk about whatever you'd like. And this is where you talk about it. Not required. You don't have to do it. You can post nothing at all. It won't hurt your grade. It won't hurt your attendance. Each week there'll be readings. My coworkers and we wrote the readings ourselves. We all came together and divvied up the topics and wrote the readings ourselves. So don't try to plagiarize us because we know our own writing. But people, believe it or not, plagiarize often. Uh, Definitely read the reading and take from it what you can. But if you're going to quote something directly, make sure to use quotes. Make sure not to do it too much, and make sure to cite your source. But the readings will inform your discussion post and your quiz. As with the others, mark as complete when done. In the readings, you'll see different links, videos, links, videos, link video, text, and we try to make it as interactive as possible and interesting as possible. So definitely engage in the readings. Each week you'll have an attendance called integrative learning. That's worth how many hours, guys? Let's see who paid attention yesterday. No, not 4. Yes. Good job, Carly Joe. It's worth 6 hours. So you'll have an integrative learning activity that's worth 6 hours. At the very beginning, it'll give you a checklist. Here is a quick checklist to make sure you completed everything that is required. So if you miss something, I'm really not going to have much sympathy. If you use an excuse like, oh, I forgot to do this part or something, there's a checklist at the very beginning to make sure you did everything. For this week, it says attend or watch GTT session. Bam, you're doing that already. For those of you who are here, and if you're watching the recording, you're doing that as well. Complete essential E3 assessment. The E3 assessment is just a quick pre-test that'll tell you a little bit about your personality. Complete the weekly plan. Weekly plan is the work, play, fit, push model, which we'll discuss and how to complete it properly. And number 4 says post the weekly plan on discussion board and answer the 2 reflective questions. Towards the end of this assignment, there is a discussion board here. You create a goal for this month. It says after creating the plan, which area will be the most challenging for you. It's talking about which area of the work, play, fit, push will be the most challenging for you, which will be the easiest. And it says you can use the results from your personality test that you took. Well, it's not really a personality test per se, but it's a test that tells you a little bit about yourself. But you can use that test, the E3, as a reference point if you want to. And then you'll reply to one of your classmates, and you'll give them some suggestions as to how they can meet their goals. If someone has a goal about, eating right, and you feel like you eat pretty healthily, then you would reach out to them and give them tips or ask them if they want an accountability partner or someone you know, doesn't go to the gym a lot and they want to go to the gym, you may offer your services and say, "Hey, I go to the gym. I'm more than welcome. I'm more than happy to go with you." Things like that. So, like I said, these are all pretty easy assignments. Yes, there's about 3 or 4 of them, but they're all pretty easy to do, and you should. It shouldn't take you 6 hours to do. So I'm going to open up the work, play, fit, push model here. The work category, even though there's 3 for each thing, you don't necessarily have to put 3 things for each day, but we do want to encourage you to be specific. So what I don't want to see is something like this. That's not really that specific, right? Tell me what you do at work. So emails, lecture 9 to 11, prepare for next lecture. Does that make sense? So tell me what you'll be doing. Now, this could be schoolwork, this could be paid work, this could be chores, other obligations that you have. These are things that you need to do. Play. Don't put the same thing for every day. Try to mix it up. Try to be fancy. I don't just want to see video games, video games, video games, video games, video games, video games, and video games. Come on, spice it up, guys. Yes, the goal is to fill out every box. You're not going to be graded on how much you do or how little you do. You're going to set goals and you're going to evaluate yourself on how well you're doing. You won't be counted off if you only complete 10% of your goals. You'll be counted off for how well you are evaluating your own progress. But yeah, don't put the same thing for every box, but definitely fill in every box. Switch it up, you know? Do different types of activities. Swimming on one day, you know, hiking on one day. If you consider that play, you may consider, poker or something. Poker. Um, yeah, so definitely switch it up. Fit wellness, again, this could be mental, emotional, or physical. So it could be gym one day, could be church on Sunday, it could be yoga, could be meditation, um, whatever it may be. And put a time frame if you want to. Be specific. 1 hour yoga, 1 hour meditation, 20 minutes church, 1 hour. Again, fill out every box. Push category, these are things that push you outside of your daily routine, push you outside of your comfort zone. So, attend networking event. Talk to 2 new people. Could be talk to that handsome person I met. Could be learn how to play piano by taking first lesson. Uh, could be anything, guys. All right? Things that push you outside of your comfort zone, things like that. You guys understand? Great. Everything else is pretty self explanatory. E3 quiz should take you about 15 minutes. Each week you'll have a discussion post. In your initial post, provide at least a paragraph for each of the following questions. What's the key word there, guys? Yes. So if I have one paragraph for the entire discussion post, ooh, fumes will be coming from my head. Fire will come out. I'll be so angry. A paragraph is at least 5 to 6 detailed sentences. Yes, of course, for number 5, you don't need a paragraph. You're just uploading an image. So for a question or statement based prompt, yes, you need a paragraph. But if it's telling you to upload an image, just upload an image and you're good. So number 1, describe an activity that you find fun. Please keep it professional. What do you enjoy most about the activity? How would you talk others into trying this activity? So number 1 does have multiple questions in it. I'm not expecting you to talk about what you enjoy most about this activity for 5 to 6 sentences, and then an additional 5 to 6 sentences about how you would talk others into this activity, and then an additional 5 to 6 sentences about the activity that you find fun. So consider 1, 2, 3, 4 separate things. Give me 5 to 6 detailed sentences for number 1, 5 to 6 detailed sentences for 2, 3, and 4. Comprendo? Awesome. Number 2 says identify and define 2 concepts for the reading. One thing, pet peeve of mine, that a lot of students do is they'll just copy the definition from the reading and think that is sufficient to answer the question. I don't really understand that. It kind of makes me sad. But people do that. They'll just copy and paste a couple sentences from the reading and, oh, I'm good. They don't attempt to put it into their own words or describe it or show any understanding. They'll just copy and paste it. I don't get it, but it's done. So don't do that. Also, provide an example of how these concepts tie into the activity you described above. So you'll take the concepts that you explained and defined in the previous question, and you'll see if there's any connection to the activity that you talked about in number 1. So let's say number 1 you talked about playing basketball, and you love the competitive spirit of basketball, and it helps you bond with other people, but it also helps you keep your competitive edge, and that you would talk others into doing this activity by letting them know that the activity is both fun, helps you get in shape, and it helps you bond with other people. And let's say in number 2, you talked about a couple of concepts. Let's say you talked about the fitness concepts for the work, play, fit, push. And let's say you talked about a couple play personalities and a couple qualities of play, which you'll learn you'll learn tomorrow, of course, and you'll learn through the reading. So number 3, what you would do is you would talk about how certain play personalities or qualities of play apply to basketball. You talk about how fitness applies to basketball. You make that connection in number 3. Number 4 says, what percentage of your play goals did you complete this week? So tell me a percentage. How did your play impact your week, including your mood, motivation, self-esteem, or relationships? And then number 5 is upload an image of you engaging in play. Now, these questions do not stay the same each week. They will change. There will be concepts in each week that you will need to talk about. That does stay consistent, but the other questions will change. So your portion of when you answer the questions, that is due Thursday, every Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every single Thursday at 11:59 p.m. this is due. You can do it on Monday, you can do it on Tuesday, you can do it on Wednesday, you can do it on Thursday. That's correct. So, Juliana, for number four, obviously you haven't completed the things for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So just evaluate your progress up to Thursday. So don't count yourself off for the things that you haven't completed on Friday, Saturday, Sunday because, you know, if you so for instance, if you get to Thursday and you've completed everything up to Thursday, count it as 100%. If let's say you get to Thursday and you really slacked on Monday, you did well on Tuesday, you really slacked on Wednesday, you did well on Thursday, count it at about 50%. So using the RISE model is what you will do to respond to how many classmates? Yes, so you'll respond to two classmates and you will use the RISE model to respond to them. You need to use all four steps of the RISE model in each response post. So in response post number one, you need to use reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. And in response number two, you need to use reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. Reflect is just your general emotions, opinions on what you read. I really like this. Oh, I really specifically connected with this. Oh, that's neat that we have this connection in this area. Oh, you're also from this place, etc., etc. I really enjoyed this. I disliked this. Just your general reflection on what you read. What I like to do and what makes it easy for me to grade, Juliana, is for you to write out reflect, fill that in, write out inquire, fill that in, write out suggest, fill that in, or write out elevate and fill that in. Do all four. You can write out the entire word and then fill it in next to it, or you can just write RISE, fill it out. Yeah, you don't have to make a table or anything like that. This is just explaining each step. But definitely make it obvious to me, since I'll be grading it, where the reflects, where the inquire is, where the suggest, and where the elevate is. Inquire is where you ask a thoughtful question. Some people try to ask like a rhetorical question here, and they try to get credit for that. So they'll say something, and then their question will be, "You know what I mean?" That's not really a question. Yes, it does have a question mark, but it's more of like a one-word answer or a rhetorical question. It's not really a question. Ask a thoughtful question. Have you ever thought about XYZ? Or um, I know you mentioned that you do meditation. What type of meditation do you do? Ask a thoughtful question that will require a thoughtful response. The suggest step is the hardest step for most people to grasp, but really it's your evaluation and your suggestions of how your classmate could do better on their discussion post. So this is where you play teacher essentially. Did my classmate make any errors? Were any of their answers unclear? Did they spell anything incorrectly? Was one of their answers shorter than the 5 to 6 sentences? This is where you put on your teacher cap and you act like you're grading their assignment, essentially. If they've done everything correctly, um, definitely let them know that, hey, I put on my teacher cap. I looked for any errors or anything that could be improved about your discussion post. I didn't find anything. But you still need to write and let me know that you really did the due diligence and you couldn't really find anything. Yes, Evan. So as long as you're doing the initial response post in the RISE format, if the conversation continues after that, that won't be graded. Just grade that first response rise model that you make on each post. Last is the elevate step. This is where you, and not to use the word in its own definition, but really it's the best word, and this is where you try to elevate the thinking of your classmate. You try to help your classmate think about a problem in a new perspective. Um, you help them to maybe see a blind spot that they haven't seen before. You give them a new idea. Um, you basically try to help them think about something in a new way. Does that make sense? Great. So you'll make 2 of those RISE model response posts. Then you'll be graded with the following rubric: thoroughly addresses all questions and meets length requirement. That's in regards to the initial post. You'll get 30 points if you do that perfectly. If you don't, you'll get less than 30 points. Provides clear and specific examples and or concepts in the initial post. That's worth 30 points. Response to 2 classmates using the RISE model. That's in regards to your response post only. That's worth 20 points. Makes no spelling or grammatical errors. Then you get the full 10 points. If you do make spelling or grammatical errors, it is my uh, decision to take off the full 10 points. But if you make like one, I normally am not going to take off the full 10 points. So don't worry that if you miss one word and misspell one word or have one grammar error, then I'm going to take off the full 10 points. Normally, I don't do that unless you make consistent errors throughout or a few errors throughout. Definitely your responsibility to check that, though, before you submit. Meets the initial post deadline, or post initial post and response to 3 classmates using the RISE model. So what that means is if you forget to make your post on Thursday, but then you make your post on either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday before the whole assignment closes out. So let's say, oh crap, Friday came along, I forgot my initial post. Let me go ahead and make my initial post now. It's Friday, it's before Sunday. To get back those 10 points that I lost for turning it in a little late, now, instead of making 2 response posts, I'll make 3 response posts, and I can get those 10 points back. So still do the initial post, and then do an additional RISE model response post. Does that make sense? Uh, Juliana, I normally don't get too deep into the grammatical errors and things like that just because it's time consuming. But I will let you know. I can give you an example of, for example, this sentence should say this. But a great tool is Grammarly, Grammarly.com. It's a super great resource that catches grammar errors, not just spelling errors, and gives suggestions for commas and such. But certainly, if you have any follow up questions, I can um, explain it to you from the human perspective, things like that. And I try to give examples when I can. Also, each week you'll have a brain teaser, which is open book. Definitely do the reading first before you do the brain teaser. Again, that's due every Sunday at 11:59, and then the bonus material. Once we get into weeks 3 and 4, there are some team assignments, which we'll cover then. But the team assignments are also the integrative learning. So it's not that you'll have an additional assignment, it's just that where you have the individual integrative learning now for weeks 1 and 2, for weeks 3 and 4, the integrative learning will be a group activity. Any questions? Does everyone feel like they understand the assignments well and understand my expectations for the assignments? Fantastic. No, this is just a week one thing where I do it for the integrative learning for week one. But if you have any questions or anything, you guys are more than welcome to talk to me after class. Um, I'm more than willing to sit with you guys and speak about the assignments. Um, I also have office hours that anyone can come by and talk to me in my office. Um, yeah, I'm more than willing to help you guys understand the assignments. That's probably the most underutilized resource in our university is the office hours of the professors. So we work in building 4D, which is not too far from where our class is at. And I've worked there for 5 years, and we just simply don't really ever have students come and ask us questions about the assignments. Um, we do have plenty of time to do that. We set aside time for that. Um, the offices are nice, and yeah, that's definitely an underutilized resource. So please use the resource, guys. And I do my office hours. I'm pretty flexible with them. I do it on a case by case basis. So just let me know. Awesome. Any other questions? All right, everyone. I'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early, 9 a.m. Get started on the reading. Get started on your integrated learning. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.